So remember how the top trim on all of the doors is completely different. Someone stripped off all of whatever decorative trim was up there. And one thing we found in the mudroom is that there is some fancy trim at the top of the door frames in there. We're gonna try to see if we can recreate that. Moment of truth. Let's see how this looks. What do you think? Is it too busy? Yes bead? No bead? We're still kind of figuring it out. So this week we are actually finally working on getting the trim up after weeks and weeks of prep work.
Yay!
Yes. So it's finally going up. I'm sure some of you have been eagerly awaiting that. So have we.
We have been eagerly awaiting that.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much so. We're starting first with the bathroom trim. So if you remember, we stripped off all of that trim because it was really poor quality wood. So there was no point in trying to strip it. That had all been added on during like an 80s, 90s renovation where they just decided, you know, they don't need quality, nice wood. They would put things with big knots on them instead. We are going to tackle this door trim. And the issue is that originally it was a thinner door trim because they wanted to make it fit in here, but it looked weird compared to the rest of the door trim, which is much thicker and original. So the goal is to try to make it look like the original door trim. Problem is that it's going to butt into this door trim in the corner. So we're gonna have to scribe it to make it fit. So we're gonna have to figure out how to do that today and see if this guy will let me do it or if he's just gonna be here trying to help all day, which he might be. Okay, so do you see how this piece of trim has this curve to it? And it curves outward and it sticks out more than this piece of trim. So when I was working on my parents' archway to cased opening project, I figured out that a way you can recreate that trim, because it's 100+ years old and it's really hard to find 1-inch thick trim, which is what that is you can get stair treads and cut them down because they are 1-inch thick. They have this curved top. The only difference is they're curved on both sides instead, but with some caulk and filler and that sort of thing, you can make it work. So then you have a perfect little replica, and then we're gonna stack the boards on top of this and scribe it to fit. But I do need to pin these in place first so I can make sure I'm getting the right length before we start getting things ready for scribing. Are you gonna help? It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be loud. All right, you can stay here if you want. All right, so here is the tricky bit. If I were just to cut this to width in order to fit in here, there are a couple of problems. So one, you can see that there is this gap here, and that's because this wall isn't perfectly straight. So it would have left this gap here. We could have caulked it, fine, whatever. The other problem is that the wall is also at an angle. So the board actually needs to be cut at an angle in order to be straight on this side and perfectly connect with this side. So the gap is more realistically like that. So we need to fix that, and we're gonna do that with scribing. Also, don't worry, this is the side that's still too dark. It will match this. So we'll work off of this side. This is the one that will eventually be stained to match this, and we're gonna scribe it. It'll be easier to see the scribe on this side that's not super dark. So you can see the cut flares out. So if I cut along this line, when I push this in later, it should sit perfectly flush while keeping this side straight. So let's see. Okay, moment of truth, let's see. All right, perfect fit. On both sides, we have the rounded corners to match the rounded corner on the original trim. So this is ready to get passed off to Brittany for all the final sanding to get this cleaned up and stain it to match the original trim. So the bathroom door is part of that 80s, 90s renovation. They added it. It is just a boring, sad, hollow door. And eventually I'd love to get a solid wood door that matches all these in the rest of the house, but those are very expensive.
That's not in the budget today,
Not in the
guys.
budget. So what we're doing instead is called Faux bois. So first step to faux bois, which means fake wood, is to get the surface completely smooth, because if you have any kind of paint drips or whatever, that's going to make it really obvious that it's not real wood. So we get it super smooth, and then we're going to do our first layer of the liquid wood. All right, so I did 3 coats of this light wood on it and let it dry overnight so it can get nice and dry. It has some impurities in it, so I'm just gonna do like a very light sand and remove all that before we go in with the dark wood coat, wherever it is, yeah. And the dark wood coat is what we're going to draw wood grain patterns on. And if you jump on this when it's wet, I'm gonna be very mad. But we're gonna put this on, we're gonna do the wood grain, and it's gonna look like fake wood. Please leave. Just right off. Thank you. So these are our faux bois tools, and this is what gives the wood grain pattern. So while the dark coat is still wet, I'm going to roll this along, and it's going to create a fake wood grain that looks semi-realistic. So not only does that create the pattern of wood grain, it also creates the texture, because this is a little bit thicker and it starts to actually make it feel like it has the texture of wood grain, which is really cool. And then after this dries, we can stain it.
These have been sitting for a couple days, so they're a lot more cranky to get the paint stripper off of, but it looks really pretty. And I will say none of these are as damaged as some of the other doors we did earlier.
Yeah.
Not as many dings, a lot smoother, so.
Yeah, these doors look a lot nicer.
Yes, hopefully that means they'll be easier to get everything off of, but only time will tell. The last 3 doors have finally been stripped of all the paint. They look amazing. They're in a lot better shape than the other 3 doors that we originally did. Don't know why, but there's a lot less dents and nicks in them, which is really nice because it's a lot less work for me.
Yeah, so strangely, those are the 3 doors from the front of the house, and the ones we started with were on the back of the house. Yep. And I feel like there was an addition made to the house at some point, because there's this big transition in the middle of the entryway that some of y'all have noticed, where I feel like things were added on and walls opened up. So I could see where those may have been like the original doors, ones where we're going now, they're in better condition. The others may have been like more exterior doors that got exposed to rougher conditions or converted or whatever. But anyway,
they look a lot better, which makes me happier because it was a lot easier to do than the first set of 3, which is always exciting.
Always exciting. Yes. Last steps for those, we're gonna have to sand, pick out off from all the little cracks and gunks.
Yeah.
And then we can stain, seal, reinstall.
And move on.
And move on.
To the next thing.
Yeah. So when building this bonus trim, I really want there to not be any nail holes that we have to fill later. I want it to be really seamless. So we're using a lot of wood glue, lots of wait time and clamping in between to get everything nice and set. But this is how we're putting it together. So as a lot of you noticed, the trim in my house has a really shallow reveal, and that's because when they added drywall in there, they just put it on top of the walls and next to the trim instead of removing the trim, doing the drywall, putting the trim back on. So these big trims went down to little tiny 1/4 inch trim reveals. So which is why I have to build in this 1/4 inch spacer here, because this is going above that trim and I want the depth to match perfectly so that this sits right up on top of the trim. So anyway, that's why we have to build this little backer piece first, and then I put these returns on the side so that they come down perfectly and hide all of that underneath. You won't see that at all. Up top, we're about to put on the final 1x piece, and that will completely cover this part as well. So last week I asked if we should add the bonus trim, as I like to call it, on the top of the door frames to match what I saw in the mudroom, as well as what I've seen in other old homes. And the resounding answer was absolutely yes. And some people were like, add even more trim. But we do want to keep it as historically accurate as we can. So I've been working on assembling all of those bonus trim pieces because each door frame has like slightly different width. Welcome to old houses. So they all have slightly different headers that I have to make for them and all the different pieces. But those are all getting sealed now and will be ready to install soon. But we will get the one that I mocked up last week up so that we can see how it looks finished with the beading and everything, which I'm very excited about. So the good news is I think it looks really good. The bad news is that each of those pieces of crown trim costs like $40 or more. And because of the width of the doors, I need one piece of trim per door. So do the math. But anyway, I needed to order 2 more pieces of trim. So those arrive on Monday, and then we can finish the final 2 pieces of bonus trim that will go up. But yeah, it's expensive. I think it's worth it because it looks cool.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, but that is the biggest expense for this entire entryway renovation project is all of the trim, the wood, the lumber, everything that we're adding in. That's the biggest expense because the rest is just like wall repair and paint.
Well, if you've been to an improvement store lately, you know that the cost of wood is redonkulous. So
yeah,
it was always going to be the craziest bit.
Yeah, well, especially when it's like really niche recreation trim.
It's been a constant back and forth for me this week of stripping doors, staining different pieces outside, and then coming in and doing poly. Because between each layer, you're gonna sand it, you're gonna dust it, and then you're gonna do another layer of poly. And you have to let it fully dry before you can touch it again. And we're doing 3 layers for every single piece. So it's been a lot, but it's kept me busy and it looks really good.
It looks really good.
And it's gonna be a lot nicer on the eye than like rough looking wood.
So this is what will go everywhere. And then these are, so this will be smaller for the corners, so it'll be like wrapping the corners. So it'll be half on one side, half on the other.
I got you.
But then there will be little like stiles.
Yeah.
And then the trim on either side.
It looks so good. Weeks of work are actually looking like something now. How exciting.
It's paying off. Paying off.
Who
Taking a
knew?
while.
I was kind of worried it would make your ceilings look smaller, but it doesn't.
I think it will draw the eye up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the goal is obviously to make it look more
Yeah.
proportional in here, but I do think it will like add a visual interest
Yeah.
to the ceiling that adds to it instead of taking away. But yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
You look good.
And you get off this ladder.
I know you do. That was a lot. That's wild, Renee.
Okay.
There's just so much more to go.
Yeah, well,
We're making strides though.
we're making strides.
These are actually up on the walls.
Things are happening.
So I say,
Say whatever you
say
want.
how many days it's taken me, or?
No, you love to talk about how long it takes you to do things.
Of course I do. People need to know.
People need to know the effort she puts into it.
No, they also need to know that like these things just don't happen overnight.
No.
Like, so that way when they do it themselves,
Well-
they don't get upset that it's taking forever, when in fact it takes us forever.
I think they know that, and the fact that it's taken us like 4 weeks to actually get to the point where we can put trim
I
off.
hope they know that.
What?
You cutting it made him fart.
I didn't like it.
He said, whoa, whoa, whoa. He said, Mom, what was that? He said, that was very rude of you, Auntie. You're not supposed to tell people. Looks so f***ing good.
Does it look good?
Yes.
Say it again without cussing.
That's my respect.
Okay, well.
Yeah, because I'm just constantly doing stuff, but it's
But we're both constantly doing stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Then it's like the in-between, I have to find stuff to fill my space.
So now you're complaining about not having enough work to do.
Yeah.
So really you just like to complain at me.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you just figured that out?
No, I mean, I knew it, but I don't think they knew
Okay.
it.
You should have learned that by now. As she did in the first video, I am a Scorpio.
Yeah, she's a Scorpio. I'm an Aquarius.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, we get along very well, but she loves to hold a grudge. Even when no grudge is apparent, she'll create one.
Yeah. It's got to be someone else's fault. It's obviously not mine.
Look at this face.